Abraham Khan entered the world on Christmas Day, 1,899 years from the day of birth of the God in which his people did not believe. He was born on the side of a dirt road in a nameless Silesian town. The dust of no place was in his blood. They spent much time around the borders, wandering from nowhere town to nowhere town. His father Isaac made just enough off the rags he sold to stave off death, though not hunger. When there was nothing to eat, Isaac would tell his sons stories, which even if they did not fill his belly, at least helped forget. Whenever Isaac stayed long enough in one place, he enrolled Abraham in Cheder. There, Abraham fed the hunger of the road with the bread of words. Yet even at 4 years old, his heart was filled with wanderlust. In 1905, Abraham's family moved to the great Jewish metropolis, Odessa. In Odessa, it was said, the Jews were free. October proved otherwise. Although Abraham could not retain the image of his parents' death, the memory marked him for years. Captain Kornilov, sent to restore order, cared little for Jews, but he took pity on young Abraham and adopted him into his great Cossack family. Abraham lost a father and mother, but gained a sister, Anastasia. Over the years, Kornilov changed him from boy to man, from human to centaur, from Jew to Christian. Abraham became Alexei. With each passing year, Anastasia further entrapped Alexei's heart. Alexei announced his love for Anastasia to his father, the captain. His father gave him a horse, banished him, and bid him good luck. Again, Alexei wandered the earth, like his parents before him and their parents before them. After several years, the road's solitude overwhelmed him. He sought the company of others. In his 14th year on an eastern road, he met the gypsy king Fortunatus, who claimed to share Alexei's blood, a Khazar heir.
Alexei, like me, you are not from this world. Us orphans must make our own family, yeah?
So Alexei remained. In 1914, Alexei Fortunatus and the Gypsy Circus arrived in Berlin. Sulfur and vengeance were in the air. Haunted by the memory of his parents' death, Alexei yearned to take revenge. Revenge on passivity. In the Kaiser's army, Alexei sought glory. There, he saved the life of his captain, Baron von Richthofen, the Red Baron. 2 years later, Alexei joined the Baron's flying circus. In the skies, he found freedom from the soil's magnetic pull and respite from wandering. April 21st, 1918, France. The Baron was killed. Alexei survived. Dressing himself as a French soldier, Alexei made his way behind the enemy lines, which were now his own. When he awoke, he saw Dr. Max Simantov Cohen, nephew of his father Isaac. Max sent him to Paris to the care of Frida, his sister. Alexei fell in love with Frida, with Paris. And one day the war ended. Alexei became again Abraham. History settled its dust, and Abraham settled with Frida. Soon a son was born, David. But Abraham's calm was plagued by the rootlessness of his blood. He ached for elsewhere, for others. Frida, despite it all, continued to love him with devotion. May 1928. Frida has her first fainting spell. 3 months later, she has her last. Paris, city of unendurable joy, had become a city of infinite pain. David became a reminder of all he had lost. Leaving his son behind, Abraham did the only thing he knew. Six years passed. Abraham reached the end of the old world. He sat on the Cadiz coast and digested the salt of the years. War was approaching. Abraham took the war name Alextanhero. In the brigades, he found friends, family, love. He was the first to charge out among the whistling bullets. Many fell, but he fought on. They named him Señor Eternidad. Determined not to lose a single friend to forgetfulness, he began to photograph every event, every person. He hoped to collect enough fragments of the past to shore against the ruins of the present. He became the museum of their memories. Although that war was lost, the Great Conflagration was approaching. An old influential friend of the Barons introduced him to Obersturmführer Hitler. Kornilov the Kaiser's flying ace was welcomed as a hero of the German fatherland. Demagogues were preaching from balconies. Order reigned supreme. A new species of humanity was evolving. It had a single redeeming quality: Helena. Enchanted by her body, Alexei the White Russian, the Cossack Cavalier, became the perfect German. Abraham the Jew he locked in the basement of his heart. Not since Frida's death had he felt so much joy, so much pain. Abraham took the burden that God himself refused, to protect his Jews. He wanted to save them all, each and every one. Those he could, he helped escape. One day it overwhelmed him. The death, squalor, humiliation, hate he had gotten used to. But the joy was too much. Abraham was caught. But Her Eternidad slipped away, again leaving behind too much. Abraham returned to Paris. With the 20-year-old photograph he had kept, he searched for David. He found only a second photograph, the last one. 1944, Liberation. He celebrated with great joy, yet his heart was filled with sorrow at the destruction. Some found freedom, yet others shame. Abraham returned again to Berlin. Helena, ruined by time, refused to allow him to see his children. She could not forgive his abandonment. His days were again filled with roads, and nights with the faces of those he could not save. Although Alexei remembered every face, out of all war's horrors he could not retain a single image. Except one. One image that was the omen of everything to come. Alexei left the blasted lands. He joined his fellow orphans on their way from history's black hole towards their peoplehood. The Promised Land called. The Red Baron's wingman arrived. Tired of blood spilling, he did not wish to fight in that war too. But he taught the new cadets all he knew: the Baron's skills, the Cossack's courage, the rag seller's hope. Among these exiles taking root in the sand, he wished too to become a cactus. He planted himself in the body of Ruth. He spent the next decade sowing his fingers in the earth to harvest for himself a homeland. Yet over the years, the restlessness again seeped through his bones. He could smell again the future of fire and mortar dust. The land ceased to call his name. He longed for the imaginary lands of his past. Ruth did not wish to return to the black hole from whence she came, and Abraham left, again, alone. It was a new age, of atoms, of space. New heroes were being sought, new narratives written. Alexei Kornilov, the Cossack hero, had returned. Riding a wave of popularity, he led the way to the next frontier. Yet once that frontier too was crossed, he lost interest. With sore feet and a tired heart, Abraham exiled himself as far west as the east would allow. His window provided him a frame into another world. Tired of history, of wars, of death, he helped those who wished escape to the other side, even if there their fate was no better. In his dreams, Abraham saw David, and lived with him a life they never had. Frida was there, Helena too. Not as they were, but as they might have been. He dreamt of an impossible city of joy. He had lived many lives there, had worn many faces, and knew now that wherever he went, he would always be l'étranger.
Around me, scores of people have arrived, being held back by the police, to watch this first incision into the Berlin Wall since it was put up on the night of 12th of August 1961.
With nowhere else he wished to go, Abraham stayed. He tried to live a life as all others did, in one place. Yet although he ceased wandering, it could not be removed from his blood. He could feel the grains of time flowing in his veins. Leafing through the book of his memories, it seemed that the dead were coming back, or that he was on the point of joining them. With these images, Abraham tried to construct a life, a family he never had. Yet he couldn't construct a whole from the scattered fragments. They fled between his fingers, outside the frame of his memories, leaving him with only solitary clichés. 2 cats on a windowsill, a man with a camera, a girl and her dog, 2 boys boxing. As the century neared its end, and the images became too numerous for memory, Abraham stopped remembering altogether. On Christmas 1999, 100 years after his birth, he saw the last light spilling through the half-open window. And thousands of miles away, on another continent, a child was born, a descendant, an inheritor, a stranger.